Hi, I'm Claire Tompkins, the Clutter Coach, and this is the Organize Your Life podcast. I am passionate about organizing because it makes my clients' lives so much easier, more relaxed, and with more time to spend the way they want to. That's what organizing is all about, not about being neat or having the right containers. It's about getting more time for what matters to you. My specialty is chunking down this big topic so it's not overwhelming. That's the concept behind my book, 5 Minutes to a Relaxing Bedroom. And that's the concept for this podcast, too, which is based on my first book, 52 Simple Ways to Get Organized. Both books are available on my website and on Amazon. I work with clients in person in the Berkeley, California area and via email and Skype, so you don't have to be local to work with me. With my help, your home will become a place you love and welcome guests into. Your office will be a place for being energized and productive. Visit the Hire tab on my website or email me at claire@cluttercoach.net. In every podcast, I'll lay out a simple organizing concept and tell you why it's important. And I'll include an action step at the end so you can start practicing right away. Okay, here we go. Today's podcast is based on simple way number 21 in my book. It's about taking baby steps to advance whatever project you're working on. When you're procrastinating on something, this is an excellent way to get over the hump of fear or intimidation or worry about starting, because you're just taking one tiny step forward. Here's how it works. If you can't get started on your project, or back into it after a break, chop it up into little parts that you can do one at a time. You'll be surprised at how small those bits can be, and how effective it is to focus your attention only on the very next small task you have to do. What's important is getting into motion and continuing to move forward. If your progress slows or comes to a stop, make the steps even smaller until you can find a way back in. Strive to keep moving because when you stop, it's much easier to be seduced by distractions. That danger can exist between steps too, so as you work, start thinking ahead about what the next logical task will be so that you can smoothly segue into it. Years ago, I read advice about this from Sark, the inspirational writer. She wrote that if your project is to organize your closet and you just aren't getting to it, maybe it's because you feel overwhelmed. If so, let your first step be simply to open the closet door and look inside. That's all. Then you can stop and make a cup of tea. Come back to the project on another day and take the next small step. I love this because it acknowledges that some projects are daunting, and that's okay because you don't have to do them all at once. In fact, you can't. This is why you must never put projects on your to-do list. Projects are not doable. To-dos and tasks are doable. This is important because you might be feeling bad about how little you get done from your list, when it's not actually your fault. The problem is you've put a big project on the list instead of the very next small step that advances the project. Write that step down on your to-do list using action verbs. Instead of writing closet organizing, you'll write sort through the box of shoes. It's specific and it's also telling you what the physical action is. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you think of your entire project or how much work you need to do to get it done. Remember that you can only do one thing at a time. That means your project has to get done one step at a time. This is a law of physics, my friends. Don't let it get you down. Here's more wisdom about that from the writer Anne Lamott. She writes, 30 years ago, my older brother, who was 10 years old at the time, was trying to get a report on birds written that he'd had 3 months to write. It was due the next day. We were out at our family cabin in Bolinas, and he was at the kitchen table close to tears, surrounded by binder paper and pencils and unopened books about birds, immobilized by the hugeness of the task ahead. Then my father sat down beside him, put his arm around my brother's shoulder, and said, "Bird by bird, buddy. Just take it bird by bird." You do need to know where you're trying to go with your project, what the end result you want is, such as an organized closet. However, it doesn't matter if you don't know upfront all the parts that need to be done. You only need to know the very next step so you can keep going forward. You don't have to plan out each step in advance. Do that if you prefer to work that way. Sure, go ahead. But remember that plans can change as your project evolves, so don't be too attached to the plan. You'll discover more information as you move forward, and you'll make new decisions based on that information. Information that you just don't have yet, so it can't be accounted for. For a project like organizing a closet, capitalize on the natural hierarchy of steps. You just won't be able to get to the boxes at the back of the closet until you deal with the ones in front of them. Let the process flow naturally. As long as you are taking baby steps with the goal in mind, you're getting closer to it. When you narrow your focus simply to the next task you need to do, you can make progress without being distracted. Every project is a series of steps. So your action step now is to find a project that you're having trouble with and see if you can figure out what that one next thing you have to do is. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Claire Tompkins, the Clutter Coach. If you like the show, I'd love it if you'd leave a rating and review in iTunes. You can subscribe, too, so the podcast will be ready and waiting for you to listen to. The show is available on SoundCloud and Stitcher as well. You'll find the show notes on my blog at www.cluttercoach.net, and you can check out my store to find books I've written and books and products I recommend, and some freebies, too. I work with folks in their homes and offices to bust clutter and get them organized so they can stay that way easily. Get in touch and find out how I can help you. I'm in Berkeley, California, and you can reach me at claire@cluttercoach.net. Come back for more next week.